What's up guys, my name is Darren Jackson. Welcome back to another video. And at this point, we're probably all aware that the big news that WayRay was teasing and that appeared to have some type of connection with Metamaterials, as a matter of fact, had no connection with Metamaterials. So I kind of sucked as far as the news for Metamaterial and people holding on to that company like myself. But at the same time, I was personally pretty excited about this potential partnership, also because of what WayRay has to offer, the technology that they had. I thought that stuff was pretty cool. So last week on their Twitter page, WayRay, and you know what? For the sake of this video, the name of this company is really annoying to say, WayRay. So for the rest of this video, we're just gonna say WR because that's easier for me to say. So for those of you, WayRay is WR for the purpose of this video. So anyway, on their Twitter page last week, WR teased something that they were going to be releasing on Monday, and the common denominator that I noticed was one of their hashtags, which was hashtag Holograktor. That sounded like a dinosaur from the future or something like that, but based off the technology that they have, I figured it was some type of enhanced AR that involved film on a window that was manufactured by Metamaterials, or it was a vehicle that was inspired by the AR technology that they provide. And it seemed like I was right. It seemed like those were the only options I can give, so it was easy to be right. On Monday, the Swiss-based AR company released their Holograktor, which is a four-door vehicle that kind of looks like a combination of a Honda Civic that was featured in a Tron movie. It is all inspired by the AR technology, which we'll get into in a bit. The exterior of the car is pretty cool. You can see a lot of geometric shapes, which is actually inspired by a USSR type of art called constructivism. They use it a lot on their propagandas. You can see a lot of the triangles and other stuff like that. So they use that as an inspiration for the design of the exterior of their vehicle. And you can also see on the top that there are 8 cameras that go into a complete 360, so it gives them 360 view, which is going to be really important, but we'll get into that in a bit. So the inside of it's pretty cool as well. As far as physically, it's a 3-seater, and the steering wheel and the driver's seat can actually be folded away, which is also pretty important, but we'll get into that later. But the main important factor on the interior of this car is the AR that is inspiring the entire make and appearance and feel of this vehicle, and that is their deep reality display. So I talked about this in the previous video that I made. Make sure you guys check that out if you haven't yet. But heads-up displays are pretty common in vehicles. They will appear on the window in front of the driver, and they'll give you basic things such as how fast you're going, and I'm pretty sure there's even some that actually give you the direction that you need to go. This is stuff that you can buy online, like on Amazon or something like that. But the whole idea of deep reality display takes it way beyond that aspect. The deep reality display not only gives you information from what's directly in front of you based off the distance between yourself and the window, but it also gives you more depth of information, like literally information on the roads, information on the buildings in front of you, and any other type of surroundings. So not only will it give you that basic information on how fast you're going or the direction you need to take to get from point A to point B, but it'll also give you information on the traffic ahead of you. It'll give you information on physical buildings and layouts ahead of you and other relative stuff like that, including allowing you to play games. Yeah, like games, which makes sense because if you actually look at the interior of the vehicle, you'll notice that each seat has 2 joysticks on each side of their armrest, and those joysticks allow you to play whatever games are on there. And out the back, that's something that's really cool. That's one of the 2 major features, in my personal opinion, that make this car really exciting. And I think the actual feature of the deep reality display is the #1 feature on why this company tokens this car as the Metaverse on wheels. The Metaverse situation, as we all know, was re-highlighted a few months ago when Mark Zuckerberg, CEO of Facebook, announced that the company would be changing its corporate name from Facebook to Meta. Meta short for Metaverse, which means to go beyond. And they also unveil a lot of the technology that they were going to be working on to hopefully have out in the future for people to buy, consumers like you and myself. And the whole purpose of the technology was to basically use AR to allow people from all over the world to be together without being in the same room or again in the same city, same state, or even the same country. We're a little bit away from that, but a lot of people are really excited about that. And one of the things that it would allow you to do is play games. And this car is essentially allowing you to do the same thing. Now, since you're on a road, the games are going to be based off driving and other relative things like that. But as long as I'm assuming other people are around that have a Holograktor vehicle, or maybe it'll be able to link up with other gaming consoles, they are allowed to play together without being in the same city, same state, same country, or even the same car. And of course, I'm sure the driver's gonna want to play as well. I was a little concerned about that, but this has a lot to do with, again, the folding steering wheel situation, and that's where we're going to talk about their VR remote feature, which I feel like is the second biggest feature in this Holograktor. So the VR remote is the other major feature with this car that actually allows the driver themselves to turn into the passenger, which they can add more room to themselves by, again, folding that steering wheel and pushing it in and retracting it. So based off the popularity of these vehicles in the future, I'm sure WR is going to set up remote locations within various parts of the city where they'll have certified drivers stationed there with VR helmets, and with the technology of 5G and space internet, they'll be able to link onto your vehicle and actually drive it from a remote location, kind of giving you the feel of an automated vehicle, but not necessarily automated because somebody's actually driving it. But there is a lot of technology allowing them to link to it. And the VR helmets that they're going to be putting on will be directly linked to the 8 cameras that are in the vehicle and on the vehicle, which will basically give them the same views that somebody that's physically in the driver's seat would have as well. On top of that, the Holograktor has a bunch of sensors around it, including LiDAR sensors. LiDAR is basically pulsating rays of light, which basically help the vehicle get an idea of its range, what's around it, and how far it is from it. So that's going to be really beneficial for the VR driver themselves. There's a third feature with this vehicle. It doesn't really have much to do with the Metaverse, but on a health aspect, it's actually something that I never would have thought of, but it could be a cool thing, and it's called the air knife. So I think this is actually one of the reasons why this vehicle is a 3-seater with 2 in the front and 1 in the back and the middle. I think they were actually thinking about the air circulation situation itself. Typically when you're in a vehicle shared with other people and you're talking and you're sneezing sometimes or coughing, especially in the situations we're in right now, you can release germs in the air and somebody behind you or next to you could share that air circulation. So the purpose of the air knife is to basically split up each person in their cabin in the vehicle to where they're only going off their own air filtration system, I guess. And I believe it should hopefully eject it from the vehicle without impacting any of the other drivers. So what it sounds like is if I'm in the passenger seat of the car and I cough and I don't cover my face for some reason, it shouldn't go towards the driver or the person behind me. It should end up staying on my section and then eventually being ejected out of the vehicle. It's a really random feature, but again, I think this is something that's coming out at the right time, and if it can be perfected and it can be proven to a lot of skeptics, even like myself, then this could be a really cool thing, especially on the health aspect. So as you guys know, normally on this channel, we're talking about companies that you can actually invest into in the stock market. And WR is not a company that you can invest into in the stock market. I'm bringing them up for one because of the potential connection that we thought they would have with Metamaterials and the evidence that was showing it, but also because I do really like the technology that WayRay has. Wow, hey, look at that, I said it. Okay. I do like the technology that they have, and if they were a company to invest into, I probably would do it. And it actually may be something that could happen. We actually also talked about in the previous video about how the news that they could be releasing could also include the news of them actually joining the stock market via a reverse merger with a SPAC. But that hasn't been talked about yet, so we're just gonna have to wait and see. But I think personally, I would invest in at least one share of the SPAC itself if we have more evidence on what that SPAC is, and kind of wait on it a little bit later. And the reason behind that is, for one, money, and two, the pros and cons in my mindset of this particular company and this particular news of the Holograktor. So I have 2 pros. The first pro is I'm pretty sure that this car will be an electric vehicle. It wouldn't really make sense on the top of my head if you have all this electronic technology and this futuristic technology and you're saying this is a gas-powered or diesel-powered vehicle. This more likely will be an electric vehicle which is going to be obviously healthy for the entire world in the long run, especially if this becomes a high demand product and a lot of people continue to buy it, along with a lot of other electric vehicles. The other reason is because, again, it's tokened as the Metaverse on wheels. The Metaverse has been something that's been talked about significantly for the past couple of months. There's a lot of YouTubers talking about what type of Metaverse stocks to invest into. There are NFTs that are kind of in the Metaverse. There are cryptos that are involved in the Metaverse. We're all talking about the future of the Metaverse. And again, as skeptical as a lot of people may feel about that, this is something that could have a positive impact in certain ways. And the Holograktor would be the first vehicle based off the Metaverse, which allows the world around you to come to life while you're driving from point A to point B. But for me, there's a lot of safety concerns that come with that, obviously. For one, the drivers just have to make sure that they're paying attention to what's directly in front of them. And also, I'm personally more intrigued to see what the actual images look like based off the film that's in the vehicle itself. Also, I am a little skeptical about the VR remote situation, to where somebody from a remote location is given the ability to control an actual vehicle with lives in it. This is something that I'm just, again, skeptical about because it's not very common, but a lot of things that we have in this world weren't very common in the past. So we're just going to have to see what happens with that. Again, there's a lot of safety regards, so I am also interested in what type of airbag situations that they have. That's not really something that I read in their articles, but again, we'll just have to wait and see. Overall, I think this is going to be a really cool company in the future, and I would actually invest into them, at least little by little. As they bring in more news, I'll invest into it more. But if you guys aren't caught up about the whole combination between them and Metamaterials, the potential of that, then make sure you check out this video. That one's pretty interesting, but obviously keep in mind it's not happening anymore. But again, guys, I appreciate you guys watching, and until next time, take care.